right, everybody, welcome back. It's the Thursday Night Forum, Arsenal Fan Circle here. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome. The circles might be getting a little bit frayed here because we have been patient. Some of us are patient, some of us are impatient, and today has tested our patience to the limits, I think, now. Those of us that have been preaching, Arteta's been doing a good job, Arsenal been doing a good job. Now we have an issue with Manchester City stepping in to gazump the work that we've done for many, many months on Declan Rice. So we're going to speak about it. We're going to talk about it, how we feel about Declan Rice. And listen, I'm still waiting. I'm still going to be patient. I'm not getting dragged into it too much. They talk about the London factor. I've been talking about the London factor. I've been quite confident that Arsenal for a long time would land their first choice player, and this will be the team probably of the evening. Can Arsenal land their first choice, when we target a player? But let's go around the house. Tony, how are you doing, Tony?
Better than the last few days.
Good.
Still fighting a couple of infections, but I'm here with a smile on my face.
Good. Definitely. We'll need that smile on the face to continue. This is a weird area in the summer now, Gary. In between when Arsenal take off to do preseason and the season being over, this is when Arsenal go to work in the back room and try to get their targets.
Yeah, for the second, or I guess the third summer, we're expecting hopefully to do something different. We're hoping that the different knock, as it's been called, actually gets answered. Or we're hoping to, as you say, get our primary targets that have no relationship with Arteta or Adu, in the sense that they're not Portuguese or from Spain or from Brazil or through the city.
Chelsea.
No, Chelsea has no relationship there. We are just, for some reason, we just like to shop there. That's where we like to shop. So, and they're always willing to give away anything that we take. But yeah, no, we were hoping to do things different than we had seen the last two summers, and so far it looks just like the last. It looks like our windows where we've actually failed to bring in our first target. So it's getting monotonous. It's getting tired. At some point, you think, supposedly getting into Champions League, things will be different. So far, not so much, and they even seem like they've gotten worse. So we'll get into that. Well, hello everybody in the chat. Welcome.
Definitely,
Ray, Tony, Lonzo, Stan. Welcome.
As with much of last season, Manchester City let us do the front running and just to gazump us at the end of the season. We don't want that to happen in the transfer window, Alonso. But, I think City have recognized that we are formidable opponents, and maybe they're heading now to take a player away from us, one of our primary targets here.
Yeah, I saw Gary looking up to the sky and asking himself why am I even supporting a club that even doesn't get targets that we want or need, right? So it's like, why, God? Why is it always happening to us? No, but I mean, I sense everyone's frustration. I've been seeing this shit all day. How pissed off I am at Adu. I'm sure probably no one has seen it, but it's all right. I'm sure Stan, I've read some good tweets about how we've been handling our business here in the summertime. So, I think everyone's got a clear point on how we feel right now. And, I've seen a couple of videos where you've seen this guy, I forget his name now, that he's reported all this other crap about how, he really is optimistic about Rice joining Arsenal. But you've seen it before, right? I mean, how every time you see a player that we want, is overshadowed by the other clubs wanting a bit higher for them, and they win most of the time. So, I'm kind of discouraged right now, honestly.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you seen pictures of a dude, you know, drinking his wine, his alcohol, whatever, his favorite choice, and barbecuing with his friends.
Yeah.
And he could be doing other business. That's quite concerning to me as an Arsenal supporter. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna be here with you guys, Stan, Tony, Gary, and yourself, Ray. It's been a while, so
Yeah, a couple of weeks. I went away to Ireland on holiday, chilled out. Arsenal did the same thing for a couple of weeks, I suppose, until the internationals ended, and now things are starting to move again. And this thing's going to break in the next 48 hours. It's going to go one way or the other. And I'm with Alonso. We're in a kind of a very nervous part of the. We're right at the fine point now, whether we believe it's going to go to City or he's going to go to Arsenal. And you hear the narrative, Stan, that Man City don't really lose out in these kind of situations, and we're hoping all of the promises, all of the mentions that Declan Rice has made to Arsenal will hold true. But we have to match the valuation as well, Stan.
I'm a little bit disappointed in myself because in the last transfer window, I just managed to cruise through it. I kind of switched off. I just let things, take shape as they would. But I woke up this morning and the first thing I did is I just looked at my phone and I read a couple of tweets and I said something like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" My missus woke up and she goes, "Is it Arsenal?" That's what she said. Is it Arsenal? She didn't ask like, "Is the house on fire?" or have we just been robbed? She knew straight away.
Yeah.
And so I've managed to get swept up in a little bit today. And I'm in a couple of places about this Declan Rice situation because I do feel that the money that West Ham want for him, me personally, I think it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
I also felt that the money that we were looking at splashing out on Mudryk was too much. But then on the other side of the fence, what I'm concerned about is that it seems that every time we identify a number one target of late, that they seem to be slipping through our fingers. Lisandro Martinez, Rafinha, João Felix, Mudryk, Caicedo, Vlahovic. We always seem to be having to go to our backup plan. And so far, we've had backup plans that haven't been too shabby. But your luck's going to run out at some time. So even though I feel that these players are really overvalued, I just feel like, why can't we at least look for a number one target, nail it down and secure it? I mean, we've got everything to offer. And I thought to myself that once we had Champions League football to offer, we would be able to entice players of a tier above where we've been shopping at. But at the moment, I kind of feel like we're that kid in the playground where all the school bullies know that they can just come and take our lunch money and we're not going to fight back. There's not going to be any problems. And then they can come back tomorrow and take our lunch money again because we're not going to fight back and stand up for ourselves. And what I mean by that is that analogy is that we keep announcing to people, we're not going to get drawn into a bidding war. That's not what we do. So if we put a bid in and another team thinks, oh, we like that player, and they come in with a couple of million more, we're just going to walk away. There are times when we may have to pay over the odds because, it all depends on how much do you really want that player.
Yeah.
So it means that you may have to go a little bit over the odds to try and fend somebody else off. Sometimes that may have to happen. Otherwise, we're going to continually be looking at the tier below and getting the number two guy in the backup. And that's not going to get us near to where we want to be. We want to be nearer to Man City, right? We want to have quality in depth, not just bodies on the bench, quality players that could in their own right be a first team starter.
Yeah. This reminds me a little bit back in the day when Alan Shearer had that decision whether to go to Newcastle or, go from Blackburn Rovers to Newcastle or go to Manchester United, who Man United were the biggest team at the time. He chose Newcastle, and we need something to restore parity a little bit with Declan Rice going to Arsenal, because if he goes to Man City, we may as well, we're going to fight in the Premier League, but we may as well be trying to target the cup competitions if that does happen. I know people say there are other players out there we could target, other players that are just as good. But I believe myself, Declan Rice is that player that will help us immensely going forward. He fills in the gaps that we need filling in our midfield. And there's a lot going on in midfield, Tony. We don't know what's happening with Granit Xhaka hasn't moved on yet.
We're
Until
waiting for a new midfielder. Then he leaves.
Partey, we don't know what's happening. Partey, he's going for 40 million to a Saudi club or 20 million to an Italian club. And we don't know what's happening with Declan Rice either, Tony.
None of them are moving until we bring in people.
Yeah.
Last year, you were sitting here wanting Yuri. Yuri was available for free all spring. He would improve our depth.
Oh my God, here we go.
Yeah.
Because we have to have depth. We can't run the tires off. We've seen what happened last season.
Here's Hitlerman's.
Yeah, definitely, Tony. Gary, it seems like we're fighting Man City in the transfer wars now, as well as on the field.
Yeah,
How was it done, Ray?
What did he say?
I feel like he said he wasn't done.
So we're waiting,
Done.
and we're waiting.
Yep. On Rice,
Tony's court.
it could be a clever deal by City to make us pay more.
Yeah.
Tony's kind of like a hold-up
Say
player.
it over.
Isn't he?
He
Tony's
is,
like
yeah.
he's a hold-up player. He holds the
You
ball
know
up
how
in
we
the
keep
box.
talking about like Xhaka when the ball goes to him, it gets sucked in there, and then the attack dies.
He'd be a perfect politician. He could debate things and just hold them up.
He's like, can you kill this debate? Yes, I can. I'll be right back. Let me tell you something.
In an hour.
Hold my
Debate
joint.
dead. we love
But-
Tony.
Love you,
That's why
Tony.
we do that.
I think we're doing what we did last summer, getting too worried about names. It's about the quality of a player, where they play. Do we need to go spend 170 million on 2 players?
I
with
say
our
yes.
Lack of depth. With our lack of depth,
These are top players, Tony. Declan Rice,
Sorry.
and I presume you're talking about Caicedo as well. These are top players.
so you want to go until you run their legs off?
No.
Listen,
The wheels
Who
off
says
the
we're letting
tires?
people? Who says we're letting people go? That's the problem. Everybody thinks we have to let everybody go. No, we just need to add. We need to pile on top, not fill
Yeah.
up the bottom. That's the problem. We keep filling up the bottom and going, we got the top fine. No, everybody wants us. We should be filling the top, pushing players down, right? Because we're not doing a good job with buying players that are pushing from the bottom up. Let's just say that. You look at all the players that we bought. That like what players that we bought where we like they are pushing for a starting position as opposed to they got it. You know what I mean?
Gary, how many midfielders do we need?
We don't have any.
We go again.
Think about it. Look what we got. Who do we got?
Arsenal fan
Partey-
circle where we go
Partey-
round in
nobody.
circles.
Partey
round
gives
and
you
round in circles.
75%, right? Xhaka, we know we can do better there. We feel we can do better
And
there.
both are leaving.
Sambi, nah. Fabio Vieira,
Manny,
we got to wait
nah.
and see now. We got to wait and see on Fabio Vieira. So right now, based on the 2 outs that potentially could happen and what we have in-house right now, we got nothing. Think about it. We went from like having a really solid midfield last season. We were happy with it when it was healthy, right? To right
So
now,
with that said,
in a week or two, we could be going. We're down to just Erdegaard in the midfield, and that's it.
Well,
with that said, why are we spending
think-
170 on 2 players?
I was just going to say, like, why? Why we keep talking about Arsenal being ruthless? Why does Arsenal have to wait, like when they're talking to West Ham in January? Wait until the summer to talk about transfers. Why does Arsenal have to wait to the conference finals? Right? Why does Arsenal have to wait to international break?
we were being respectful, Gary. We were being
Players
done-
holiday.
Guess what it's done for us? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
And then we
All
have
we've
to
done
wait
is
because
just
the players going on holiday. Let's let him have a holiday.
Yeah. So now we're waiting for a player to go on holiday when guess what? It's not helping us at all.
There's
So we just wasted all that time thinking
Yeah.
that Rice is an option for us, knowing full well they weren't serious about making a deal. They knew ahead of time that they wanted installments to complete a large percentage of that base sooner than later. We knew that. That's not a surprise. They said 120. I think that's high, but I don't think it's that. They wanted something closer to 100.
Mhm.
All right. So all of
It
these
is.
are parameters I believe we knew ahead of time. We knew all of that. If we can't do it, move on. Just like when I say, if you're not going to play him, let him go. If
Yeah.
Arsenal can't,
Yeah.
if they can't even come close to what they want, like even the 75 and 15 doesn't work because of the installment plans. How we can't offer more money, can we?
Yeah, we can offer
We
more
can't.
money.
No, but they want money up front.
Well,
So now you're going to
what-
stretch out the liability of the monies that you have, right? Right? If we said here's 75 and 15, 75 up front, day one, would they accept it, or would they wait to see what City wants? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
I believe they wanted the majority of the cash up front in 2 installments.
If
Roughly.
we said here's 75 right now, you think they would say yes?
No, probably not, because I think that matches what City
Yeah. So
are
basically, it doesn't matter
allegedly
what
going to
we
be putting
do,
in.
which is disappointing. So either the player really doesn't want to come to us, so it doesn't really matter.
No,
Right?
I mean, here's the deal. We've come in with 2 bids that have been unsatisfactory, derisory, unsatisfactory, Stan.
Very poor.
And listen, you and I think, have been the most patient, and we've tried to explain and make a case for Edu and make a case for Richard Garlick, when Gary and Tony and maybe Alonso were being more harsh about it, and we're the ones who were trying to make excuse for these people. But my fuse is running a little bit low. I don't know about you, Stan, but if this continues and we lose Declan Rice to Man City, it's going to be a bitter pill to swallow.
What I don't understand is that we were told that Arsenal were having talks with West Ham before the season ended, feeling them out. So I mean, what's the point of having those chats? I mean, for me, the point of that chat would be that at some point in that discussion, you're going to ask them, so what is the number that you're looking for? Well, we're looking for this number. Okay, so you're telling us if we come back with that number, we can go away now, prepare all the contracts, and just bring it back to be signed on whatever the date is, July the 10th. I mean, if you're not coming away from that conversation without knowing what the number is, and then you go back and then you lowball them, now everything's public. It's all dragging out in the public. And meanwhile, if we had maybe been a little bit quicker before Gundogan had said, yeah, I'm definitely going to go to Barcelona, we might have had a little bit more wiggle room.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I ask these questions about, well, why didn't we have these chats? People always, their answer is always, that's always the same answer, but that's not how it works. Okay, well then these people always tell me that's not how it works, but not one of them has taken the time to tell me in great detail how it does work. Because I'm all ears. I'd like to learn. I don't know everything. Tell me, if that's not how a negotiation works, enlighten me.
But Stan, we see with Liverpool, we see it with City. They do their business before the summer, then continuing it early summer.
No, we did it.
Usually
We
done
started
early.
this in January, Tony. We knew we wanted Rice in January. This isn't something that just happened when the season ended.
Yeah, we've been talking to him for a while.
We knew we wanted Caicedo in January. We knew we wanted Mudryk in like March, right? We knew we wanted all these players long before the window opened. And that's why it's always disappointing when it's like, why can't we just make the offer day one? What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? As you said, Stan, they talked. They know what the number is. They know what the key thing for me sounds like. They want a lot of money up front. They just want a lot of money in the first 2 years of the player's contract.
I heard it was the lump sum over
payments. They wanted 2 payments.
Lump sum over 6 years and the add-ons over 5 years. I mean, that's just like hire purchase. That's just like buying something out of a catalogue. And at the end of the day, West Ham want to be able to bring players in, and if they're going to get their money paid it piecemeal in that way, it's not attractive. But if Man City comes in, and I believe that the Man City have offered the same terms, but just quicker installments. And I mean, Christ only knows what kind of add-ons we're asking for. I mean, apparently one of the add-ons is that, we will pay X amount once West Ham are able to prove irrefutably that Big Four does exist.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to make these things realistic.
Yeah.
They've got to be realistic goals. Otherwise the add-on's never going to come, and you just think to yourself, well, we're being lowballed here.
Yeah,
As Chris says here,
a Champions League win can't be in our add-ons.
No.
It's just
It's got to be something more realistic.
Yeah, it's not
achievable.
even I mean,
Exactly.
we can say Premier League easily, right? Because we've shown that we can get close to winning a championship.
First 20 appearances, a couple of million more. Let's do something like that. As Chris said here, Man City can give a blank check, whatever number Rice and West Ham want, they will give. And whatever I hear about people wanting Man City to win over United or over Liverpool or over our traditional rivals, I'm starting to change my tune on this Man City thing, this sports washing that's going on.
They're all happy that we're losing out on Rice, and then when the season goes along and they're like, well, guess what? They have to go to the bench. Oh, who are they going to bring on? Rice. Oh, they have to go to the bench. Who are they going to bring on? Rodri. That's terrible, right? Like for the league. Those are I think they're playing the same position essentially.
We turned into the most competitive Farmers League, Gary.
Yeah.
A really competitive Farmers League.
If we can get ourselves into a situation where we can at least match what City are offering, then the player will, has a choice in this. And we're told that the player's preference is Arsenal. But if we get to a situation where we both submit a bid, theirs is accepted and ours isn't, it's declined again, then we're behind because we're not putting together a package that's attractive for the buying club.
It makes you wonder how we did not put the extra 10 mil down for Bruno Guimaraes.
Don't get him started. Don't get this one started.
No, but I mean, we're talking about 45 mil, and now we're saying we're willing to spend 90, twice that much, right? That's what we're saying right now. And we're talking about that's what we got a player that could fill the position for half the price, and we didn't want to spend the extra 10, but we're okay now to go from 70, 80, maybe even 100 all of a sudden, and we're okay with that. I think this, like I said, I think this team's always a window behind. Like when they should be like if they would have spent the money sooner, now we wouldn't be in such a situation. We needed to make a big deal in January. We didn't do it. So now we're supposedly we have two options now, Rice and Caicedo. We say, no, Caicedo, we don't want you anymore. What? And you don't even know if you have Rice. Think about it. In their round table, whatever like that, they're sitting there going, all right, Rice isn't fully committed to us because there's no way he is based on what's going on right now. Caicedo costs less, and that's why I always wanted Caicedo anyways. He costs less, and he gives us two positions that we definitely need. We put him off the table, and we probably could just get him easily. I think if we put down whatever the 100, we get Caicedo, right? We put down 100 for Rice. There's no guarantee we get him.
I haven't seen many players that Man City have not been able to get when they've gone off after the player. Now, with all that being said, I still don't believe there has been a bid put in by Man City. It's all going to happen tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to all happen tomorrow. Man City are going to prepare their first bid. It's going to be a really good one. And Arsenal need to prepare their third bid. And it's got to match or surpass.
Arsenal's bid needs to go in first.
Yeah.
Because for perception purposes, it has to go in first. Let Rice decide, you know what, I'm going to go with City. It can't be let West Ham go, we're accepting this one. It should be Rice making a decision because guess what? It's a similar amount of money as City. Where do you want to go? And then, because the perception the stink needs to come off Arsenal.
Yeah.
We can't be taking all the hits for this. We need to be able to show that either we're going to go for the players hard or we're not. If we're not going to go hard, then we should have walked away last week. You know what I mean? Like, we're in it now. We're in it now. Here it is, Rice. You make a decision, not make it easy. Once we
Yeah,
can't lay down like we just did to City and give them the league before they
Alonso.
even played a game.
Yeah, Alonso, like Gary says, this feels like a statement that we need to make in this saga here for Declan Rice.
In a way, it should be Declan Rice's decision to begin with. They give West Ham too much leeway on this one. And at what point does Arsenal just back off and say, "Listen, you just gotta just deal with it and move on," because City have a lot of money to spend. They could do whatever they want to, really.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do I always thought that it was up to the player to decide where he wants to go. And, at this point, it seems like, West Ham are kind of wanting City to win this bid war, I guess, because, it seems like it's going that way. And it's kind of unfair. Um, it's like, it sucks, really, because you would think that and hope that either an agent or someone at West Ham can just wake up and realize that they're going to go to Arsenal. But then again, if you're West Ham and a dude gives you a lower price and lowballs you, they want to respect that. So I don't want to blame West Ham for holding off on the price, really, because I think that's like respect on a dude's part. That's just my opinion.
And Stan, West Ham chairman, he's going to want to get the best price for his player. It's a prize asset. Declan Rice, we've been talking about him for 3 or 4 years, not necessarily going to Arsenal. Always thought it was going to be Chelsea for 80 million. They win the European Cup, and the chairman all of a sudden raises it another 20 million. So now we're into the 100 million range here. And like Alonso said, there's going to, I always thought myself, does the player have any choice in where he's going? Will West Ham allow him to have, if we're 5 million lower than City, will he allow the player to make the choice?
I don't think it's about that.
I've always wondered the same thing.
Yeah.
Can he refuse a transfer? Can he say, right, we've just received a bid from Man City. We really like it. Can he turn around and say, well, I'm not going there. I don't want to go there.
And
I don't know how, I don't know how it works. I don't know how much say the player has in controlling his own destiny. But I just
thought the player had some choice in it,
But I wondered to myself also, I mean, we've been in touch with West Ham now much longer than since the transfer window's been open. Yet we managed to put a lot of energy in getting Havertz and this Urine Timber gentleman sort of like seems to be squared away pretty quickly.
Yep.
So why can't we put the same energy into this or Caicedo? And just talking about Caicedo, as I understood it, Arsenal wanted to bring him in January. The plan was always to bring him in January and Declan Rice in this window.
Yep.
So the outlay was there, but we didn't even seem to be hovering around Caicedo anymore. It seemed to be Kai Havertz. What's going on over there? It seems to sort of like it took all of our concentration away, and Ilkay Gundogan as well.
Yeah,
which is strange again because I hear people saying, because I'm in the camp of, his issues off the pitch notwithstanding, I kind of always thought to myself, well, surely we can get another. We should be holding on to Partey for a little bit longer. I think we're being a little bit rash. I know that his form fell off at the end of last season, but form does. That can happen to a player. He was only singing his praises a couple of months before that and saying that he was probably one of the best players in his role in the league. And now we seem to be happy for him to be leaving us. And the money that we're being offered for him from Juve, that's a piss take.
Mm-hmm.
15 to 20 million. I'd rather keep him for 2 years and let him walk on a free.
Yeah.
Think about this with all these
Upwards
new
of 30.
contracts that we just signed for our youngsters. So in 2 years from now, how much do you think Saka, Martinelli, Saliba, and Erdegaard would go for if they decided after 2 years they're done?
Right.
How much do you think Arsenal will get for them?
Yeah, that's the question.
Not a lot because of the way we do our business. It's terrible.
I can't defend it, Gary. You're right.
Saka is
defend
worth what 200 mil, based on his age right now.
Yeah.
He still has another 10
150
years to
easy.
give, right? Easily 150, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on what he's been doing. I mean, what more can he do for the England team?
Right.
Playing goal as well.
No, I mean, like, what more does he have to do? He doesn't have to do much more. He's doing a lot right now, and
Yeah.
he's only going to get better, right?
You can be fly goalkeeper. You still be good.
Every year he gets better. Martinelli is trying to catch up to him, right? I think he's just a little bit behind because of injuries, and Saliba, if he recovers from his back injury, and Erdegaard has shown. I mean, you can't. We've got a wealth of talent on our team, and we're killing them now because we're going to go back and screw up our midfield again.
Yeah,
Think about it. We've had. Remember, Unai Emery. The biggest problem we had then, midfield was terrible. If the way this window goes right now, we'll be back there again with like quality players up top on the back, nothing, a big donut hole in the middle.
Yeah,
I think Granit Xhaka's unpacking his suitcase as we
There's
speak.
no way
As we
he's
speak.
leaving. He can't. And you know what? I think most people did not want him to leave. Anyways, they wanted him to sit down. That's all.
Yeah,
You don't have to start every game,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Speak for yourself, Gary.
we are in.
I said,
We are in a
speak for
golden
yourself,
window.
Gary.
Well, you know what? Where we are right now, that's where he should be, though. He's
Sitting
going to
out.
go start and play really well. He could win. We're talking about like being able to win trophies, having him come off the bench.
Yeah.
Mentally he won't do it, and that's a problem. Because you know what? That we can talk about these. He's a team player. He's a quality player. He wants to do everything for the team. No, he doesn't. Not based on what you just said there. You all of you guys were like nodding your head. Nope, he doesn't want to be a team player. That's what you all said when you said, nope, he won't come off the bench for Arsenal.
No, I mean he would not probably. His pride would not let him sit on the bench.
Yeah,
too
that
much.
doesn't sound like a team player to me. Some leadership. That doesn't sound like the leadership we're talking about. Because guess what? Everybody on City comes off the bench. All of them.
Yeah.
They all come off the bench. I've seen it. KDB comes off the bench. Rodrigo come off the bench. All of them come off the bench.
Yeah.
Right? And they win trophies. So it's a mentality thing that it's more about, if you're talking about leadership, then you should be able to lead from the bench as much as you do, from the back as much as you do from the front, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
this BX kind of said that there's better midfield options, so I'm not upset about it. Rice is one of the better midfield options for me, and so if we miss out on him, we are pivoting to a second or a third option again. And this is something that's going to plague Edu and Richard Garlick. I think they're the two principal negotiators. And if Mikel Arteta has to pick up the phone each and every transfer window and convince players to come here, when Edu and Richard Garlick can't do that, we have issues. You know what I mean? If we can't get the targets over the line, maybe we need a better negotiator. And this is a real acid test now
That's
for
why,
Edu.
that's why I
Edu
say
and
it
Richard
should be a
Garlick.
football player.
Yeah.
It should be
how
a
do you not sell? I
football-minded
just came up short winning a Premier League last season because I don't have the quality and depth that I need. How do you not sell that? How do you not sell? Look at what we did. 30 games into the season, look where we were. Give me another 4 or 5 players.
You're doing the transfers.
But the person talking though, not the person playing the paper.
Where this podcast has landed now, Thursday Night Forum. We've landed right in a very uncertain area here with all the news that we've heard today, and then there's a tweet, and people can get twigged by a tweet saying Man City are preparing a bid and Declan Rice is open to that, Well, we don't know if we're still in the driving seat here, Tony.
Right. If we're going to pay $100 million, why don't we just put $20 million on it? Go buy Mbappe. He's not signing an extension.
You can't afford to pay his weekly salary, Tony.
Yeah,
it's not the 150. It's the
package,
it's like the 800 to $1 million a week or whatever it is that he gets paid. That's the problem.
Yeah. No, listen, we may have to do something like that, Tony, for Declan Rice. If we're going to push the boat out, we're going to have to add another 10 or 15 million on top of
He's not worth
100.
it.
And then we are getting into an area then where a lot of fans and even people at Arsenal will feel 115, that's maybe too much. And now we're going to pivot to a Caicedo, and prize him away from Chelsea. I believe the negotiations now with Chelsea are moving pretty well with Caicedo as well. Not to say we couldn't do it, but the chairman at West Ham has taken care of Declan Rice's career, and they've been sitting on a nest egg for quite a few years now with Declan Rice. Alonso, it's all gonna break tomorrow. I mean, what's your gut telling you right now? I'm still feeling that Arsenal are in the driving seat here, and the player will decide. I'm a little bit less certain now about the London connection, because obviously Manchester is not so far away from London, but there is still that pull to stay in London.
Yeah, and that other place that's not too far. Are these nuts? Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think Stan and Gary had alluded to, we've had this talk with West Ham way before the season started, or ended rather. And the way I think I'm approaching this is that I'm just so frustrated because, Adu and Dick Garlett here think that it's okay to lowball teams. And I think, other clubs are kind of catching on how we do business, and therefore we Arsenal tend to look at the third or fourth option, and it's kind of embarrassing. And as a fan, because you don't see the other clubs doing this. I know Brighton have already signed 3 players already. Liverpool signed McAllister. Um, you know, there are other clubs that made moves too. So why can't Arsenal be like that?
Mm-hmm.
I remember in 2021 when we signed Ramsdale and Ben White, and Arsenal got ridiculed because we overpaid for them. Well, look at him now. I mean, Ben White's a great player for Arsenal, and as is Ramsdale, though given his mistakes, he's still a pretty good goalkeeper.
Yes.
And nobody. You look back on that, and those deals were done after the Euros, but they were done quickly. So I can't, Adu and Garlic do the same thing with Rice, and that's what I think is upsetting to me, that it's taking this long, and Adu lowballs them and thinks that he's going to lower the price on their best player. So all that being said, it's very frustrating. Because like Stan, I did look at my phone this morning, and all I seen was, City are in for him now. I'm like, well, that's kind of discouraging, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. We've got tweets saying Arsenal have been working on Rice for most of the year, and City have been working on Rice for one day, and the player's head's going to turn. Listen, it's Pep Guardiola, it's Man City, it's a team that can do the treble. Have done the treble, but there is connections here for Rice. He can connect with Bukayo Saka, play in a role that he knows he may play the majority of the season in and not be rotated in and out. I don't know how much. It's all going to be very subjective. It's going to be how Declan Rice feels about the project, either project.
It's not down to that, Ray.
If it's down to the project, then he's not coming to Arsenal.
It's not.
I mean, that's
it's
not
not
even
to that.
It does no. If it's like saying I'm either going to go to Yale or or Harvard, or I'm going to go to community college. They both have really good professors.
Hey, put some respect on community college.
No, but what I'm saying is there are levels, as I like to say, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are levels. I mean, they carry some prestige. You will get a really good job when you're done. You go to City, you will get big trophies when you're done.
You're forgetting a big part of this.
But okay, Tony, go ahead.
agents, the fees. They say, player, you're going there because I'm gonna get paid more money, and player usually goes.
Now, Declan Rice's agent is his father in this situation. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we are in Stan. We're in a kind of a period now where I'm talking about this period of 4 to 5 years where we have a manager who's getting better as year on year. Right, we can track that through the progress of our league position. We have definitely young players who are growing into their prime. And now we need to be good enough in our back room to be able to add these big pieces now with Champions League money behind us.
I mean, I'd like to know how the money works out. I mean, when you hear someone say, okay, Arsenal have 200 million to spend, do we have that sat there in an account? Or does it mean we can project and spend 200 million over a period of time by spreading payments?
Yes.
You know, that's probably what we have to try and understand. And what I don't get is as well is, you know, when you see reports of Arsenal's first bid was 75 million paid over X amount of time and 15 million in add-ons, which how does this information get out? How does it actually, how does that information get out? And I'd also go as far as to say that if I was, you know, working at Arsenal in any capacity, I would be conducting an investigation to find the little fucker who keeps texting Fabrizio Romano and chatting about all of our business, and I'd fire that individual. Because it does seem to me that the ones that's Fabrizio Romano, that shitbag, keeps talking about, they're the deals that always seem to have a problem. And then you'll get like a Teabag or a Euron Timber or a Kai Havertz out of nowhere that he's not had any connection to. We seem to be able to get our business done.
I think it's the agents that leak it out.
Yeah, there's a vast network of information going through, and you've got Ornstein and you've got Fabrizio Romano, and they're probably, I know you don't like them that much, Stan, but they're probably the most reliable.
I don't mind Orney. I don't mind Orney. You know,
Orney's probably the most. He's the one who would break something.
But yeah,
that's the one I never liked, though. I didn't like Ornstein.
When his stuff comes out, pretty much it's not much. Gospel. You're not like going, damn, he just changed. He just pushed it out like
guys.
every 30 minutes.
Concrete. It's concrete, guys. I heard it's very concrete.
That should be a drinking game. That should be a drinking game.
You know what? He rolled he rolled a big wheel. The word of the window. This window, concrete. He uses it for everything.
It's a drinking game. Every time you hear the word concrete, you should take a little swig.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously responsibly, right?
Right.
Yeah.
If you're mentioning concrete, you should call it equalizer.
So Ornstein did say, this is one of his latest tweets. Man City expected to submit an offer to West Ham for Declan Rice. Have serious interest in recruiting England midfielders. Anticipated formal bid will be lodged soon to rival Arsenal for signing. So this is all going to happen very quickly tomorrow, you know. And
that's why you're the first one on the phone.
Where's he even going to play, right? I mean, they've got Rodri up there. They just shelled out 50 million on Calvin Phillips. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that they probably pay 130 odd million for Declan Rice and then loan him out to a club in Saudi Arabia, and they never wanted him anyway. It was just to scupper us.
Is this a little bit of a Bayern Munich move in the Bundesliga where the best team is trying to buy the best talent? You know, the strongest team in the league is trying to buy the best talent. And will we be forever Borussia Dortmund?
I think they're just trying to jack up the price still.
Yeah. Okay.
It does seem, doesn't it, can I just say, it does seem like 60 to 70 million is kind of like yesterday's 40 million. There seems to be like about a 20 million sort of jump now in what you look at, you know, just an sort of an average price for players, because the amount of money that we're laying out for Kai Havertz is quite a big sum. It's, you know, I can go into a little bit later about what I think he might bring to the team, but just using the eye test at Chelsea, he hasn't set the world alight. yet they're able to command such a high fee for him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We're going to go to
we can't do that with our players. We can't sell our players for tuppence.
Not only that, but guess what? They had to sell all these players by a certain time.
Exactly.
It wasn't like they could drag it out the entire summer. They had less than a month. So Arsenal, for some reason, wanted to help them out.
Facilitate them.
Yes, so we have to make these deal long before you need it to be made. No, you don't. There's no reason to. The closer it gets to what, July?
Yeah, the more
They have
antsy
to
they
correct
would've
their
gotten.
books sooner.
Yep.
There is
We're like
no.
we're like Chelsea. Here's a check, and Chelsea like just send it up to Brighton. Just send it to Brighton. They can for Casado. Cheers.
Yeah,
Are
you're
we,
right.
are
You're
we
right.
too nice?
You're right there. So just
Are we too nice in this
No, that's
window?
dumb. That's stupid.
No, but are we too nice? The way we act, are we
That
too
is
nice?
not nice. That
Are
is
we
really.
being too respectful to West Ham by
Every
waiting
time we
for?
do that, we get punched. We get sucker punched.
Yeah.
They put a stick on our back as we walk by. That says "kick me" every
Yeah.
time.
Are
It's
we
like
too
they say,
nice
right?
because-
Nice guys don't come first. You're trying to.
Yeah.
There's that girl in the party. You
Yeah.
know, you got the nice guy, and then you got like the oi oi. Do you know what I mean? You know who she's going home with. She doesn't
And
want to
then
come
he's
home and look at
opening. Yeah, he's opening the car door for the other two to get in the car.
I
Off
look.
they
I
drive.
look at it this way.
Fucking them in.
I look at it this way because we're talking about
They
nice
drive
guys
off
don't
into the
finish
sunset.
last. Like Pep will shake hands with Arteta, right? But Pep also is like Rodri, go take that guy down. Like you ever, and you look at like Haaland, right? And Haaland and Erdegaard are really good friends. Haaland is going to get into it with a holding. Erdegaard is not going to get in it with anybody.
Hmm.
And like for me, those are some of the differences between City and what we do. Our play is, as you say, really nice, doing it by the book. Guess what? Screw the book. That's how you play football, right?
I feel like we're learning. I feel like we're learning this.
What do we
football
learn?
thing.
You learn this in grade school. When you play football in grade school, you telling me you never laid one in on one of your buddies on the
I
pitch?
did. Yeah.
You did, and then guess what? They did it right back to you, and you laughed about it afterwards, right?
Yeah. I
mean,
think we are a little bit
all
naive.
this stuff,
at
all
times.
this stuff that we're talking about. They were when they were playing with the kids out. They were doing this stuff. At least that's how it used to be. I don't know if I think with the academies it's so structured now. They don't even know how
Yeah.
they don't even have that mentality anymore to go and do anything you can to get that ball away from the attacker, right?
Okay.
Anything.
What's your confidence level for Declan Rice to Arsenal, Gary?
Right now, it's really, really low. I mean,
Are you under 50%?
Oh yes. Oh
Okay.
yes.
All
Oh
right.
yes. Oh,
I'm
yes.
I'm slightly over 50%. I feel like, listen, we're up against Man City, and I can't think of too many players that have not gone to Man City. We're looking for an Alan Shearer move to Newcastle in Declan Rice coming to Arsenal and redressing the balance. If Declan Rice is with Arsenal, we can sustain, I think, another challenge for the title next season.
For years.
For years, maybe. Yeah, exactly. Tony, what's your confidence level? Under 50 or over 50?
I don't care.
You answer your question. Just answer the damn question. You
I
spent more
answered
time.
your question.
You spent more time not answering the question.
He doesn't like my questions, Gary.
I think he's way
Alright,
too much.
okay.
100 million.
That's not the question.
No.
You don't even answer
Will
the
it get done?
question. Answer the question.
Yeah.
Yes or no.
Will it get done or not?
Higher or
No.
lower? So you
Lower.
don't think it's going to happen. He's on the
Okay.
lower than 50%.
All right, Alonso, lower
High.
or higher? Higher than 50?
Yeah. 50.
51. Say 51.
60.
Stan, I'm about 55. 55.
I'm
60.
dead in the middle. I think this is 50-50, because I think, you read some reports and you keep hearing that Declan Rice wants to choose Arsenal, but then you look at what the opposition is. And I think it's very precariously balanced at the moment. And, as I mentioned before at the very beginning, I'm not even sure this guy's worth it. I'm not queuing up going, just throw the money at him. But
Do you think
there is a reputation to maintain here because our previous efforts have all ended the same way. And if we could get ourselves into a position where a player chooses us over Man City, that would be a statement.
That
You
would
know,
be a
that
statement.
would make other people look up and make other players maybe rethink about what they're doing in their future endeavors when it comes to transfer.
It would be a statement. It would be a statement for the club, the backroom staff, and I'm sure Mikel Arteta's involvement as well, because they've been talking as well. They've had to be talking, and listen, we're not going to know for the next 48 hours. I'm sure things may happen tomorrow here, but that's where we
48
are.
hours, it'll be the weekend. You think anything's going to happen on the weekend?
We don't work on Sundays, Gary. We don't work on
No, I
Sundays.
mean, I don't know
I do.
how much business will be going on the weekend, right? I mean, you got
Okay.
The Royal Week.
the window goes for a month, or 2 months or 3 months, but the weekends are off, right? I mean, that's what it seems like. There's this unwritten rule: we don't start doing any business on the weekends.
Yeah. Stephen here. Big up, Stephen, fighting the fires up there in Canada as well. Confidence on Rice, 0%. Chelsea should sell Balogun for 80 right now. We'll talk about Balogun a little bit later. We're going to pivot to Havertz right now. Unless any of you have any other caveats to add on Declan
I
Rice.
used to like Rice. I'm starting not to like Rice that much anymore.
Now you like fries.
As I said, I like fries. Fries is the best accompaniment now to your meal. I mean, because rice is getting a little, it's getting a little dry.
Yeah.
See, I'm the other way, Gary. I've never really ever been big on rice ever.
Oh,
So,
no, I like rice, but not the way it's going on right now. Might have to boycott Rice because he doesn't come.
I'm Irish, and I wasn't too fussed when Declan Rice swerved Ireland. I know a lot of Irish people were fussed.
Yeah.
He swerved Ireland for England. If he swerves Arsenal, you're dead to me, Declan. You're dead to me. You know what I mean?
can I just have a quick question then before we actually move on from Declan Rice? Because
Orange.
I'm the only one that said that. You know, I don't think
you're the only one that said 50-50.
No, about actually wanting him. Is there anyone here that's like, I really want us to sign Declan Rice?
Yes, I've been saying that's my number one. That's my number one.
Do you think it's worth the money?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Between Caicedo and Rice, they need to get at least one. I want both. I'd rather have Caicedo, but they need to get one of the two.
Yeah.
They need to get
I'm
one
not
of the two.
I'm not going to ask Tony because I know that he doesn't care. All right.
Paying too much. We're paying too much.
Do you think he's worth it, Alonso? Do you want him?
I think so, yeah.
The Krakens are woken. Go on, Tony.
I'm not going with you, Minston. We could have got Gundogan for 32 million.
He's not coming. Once again, you have to look at the parameters. The man. What player is looking at
Rice
City, Barcelona, and Arsenal and going, let me guess, do I want to go to London or not?
68 million.
No.
Tony still wants us to re-sign Fabregas.
Rice is not worth 68 million. More.
No man's choosing us over Barcelona, no matter how bad they are, Tony. It's not happening.
Look, well, I think we can all agree that the transfer.
Right to I'm saying about Rice. Like Gary had said, I like Caicedo because he plays multiple positions. And Arteta likes that. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn actually. I want Declan Rice too, but I think he's worth the money.
Yeah, look, like I said, transfer fees have gotten out of hand recently. Blame who you want. Anthony for 100 million.
Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish for 100 started.
I would love to blame Jack Grealish for a lot of things, indeed. Yeah.
That's where it started.
But
everyone's like, 100 million. 100 million, is it?
And while Declan Rice is our number one target this summer, we probably are going to get another player in before Declan Rice. For me, I'm going to say, let's talk about the fee, okay? Because we can, okay? I feel like 50 plus 15 is too high for Kai Havertz. In the situation that Chelsea have been in, and we just talked about we're facilitating Chelsea here to get Caicedo because of
he's worth probably about 50. Chelsea has 5 center forwards. So I'm definitely not paying 70.
It's 50 plus 15. You
It's
round up.
70, right? Close enough. They kept saying 70, so
Okay. Do you have
If
anything
it's
else to say on this matter before I pass it on to Gary? Got
again,
burned last time.
too much. I don't like giving a team that will probably be a direct rival next season because they don't have to worry about any of the European competitions. Last time they finished near that low, they finished 10th. They won the league. Now they're finished 12th, and they'll be competing for the top 4. So
I don't think they will.
Well,
why give them money when they're under the clock, like Gary said?
here's my job. Here's my job at Chelsea. We've gone and raided a mid-table team and taken one of their better
No, but
players.
we actually rolled over and took whatever they were given.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound like we went out. We took something from a team 12th in the league.
We paid over the odds for sure. 20
Right?
million.
They
probably
said,
over
you
the
know what?
odds.
No, you're going to pay us 70, and we're like, no, you're going to pay us 70. All right, 65. No, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Listen, it's not my money. It's Arsenal's money. It's the self-sustaining money we're making. But, I feel like we've overpaid for Kai Havertz. Now, yeah, let me get to Alonso and Stan then before we talk about the player. Alonso, what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
this?
I think Kai Havertz needs a change of scenery. Apparently, Arteta favors him a lot, and I think he can work with him. I think he can make him a better player. I think that he's a signing that we didn't expect to happen, but it happened. I remember Gary saying about Danny Welbeck, how he didn't quite favor the move when he came from Manchester United, and he kind of had a soft spot for him after the things he's done at Arsenal. I kind of like the same approach Janet has about Kai Havertz. Give a guy a chance. I think he could change his career around. He's definitely around better players, in my opinion. And I don't buy that, Tony, about how Chelsea will be top 4 next year. They're coached by Pochettino now, who, let's face it, coached Spurs or managed Spurs. So it kind of tells you something right there. So I don't buy that, Tony. I don't think Chelsea can become top
Pochettino,
in top 4.
Pochettino
I don't
took
care what
Spurs to
history
the
says about that.
semi.
It's not gonna
They
happen.
took
No,
them to the finals of the
nope,
Champions League.
nope.
All right,
It's not gonna happen.
Tony, 12th place. I don't even think they got 40 points. Right? They but for a win or two here and there, they could have been flirting with relegation.
What happened when they finished in 10th place?
They won the league the next year.
But it's not gonna happen again.
10 years ago.
I'm not saying they're going to win the league. They're going to be
You said
challenging for
you're
the
Why are
top
we
four.
talking about the guys? That's so many years ago. None of that stuff's happening.
Again, yeah.
And nobody expects City to not win the Premier League this season.
Listen,
So
if we get Rice, if
one
we get
season
our
to the next,
targets,
nothing has changed.
if we get our targets, and that includes Declan Rice, I expect us to be challenging City again next season as well.
Ray.
Tony.
After we spend 170 million on 2 players,
yeah,
what happens? We still have 0 fucking depth.
What do you mean? We have depth in the most important part of the pitch, the middle. We didn't have that.
And we
also have an answer at right back, right? Which then helps us in the middle of our set with our center back pairing. So it gives us depth that you give us more depth than we had last season.
Tony's
especially if we don't get rid of Xhaka and Partey.
Wow. Yeah.
If you get rid of 6 players and bring in 2 players, you have less.
You're not listening. You're not listening.
Yeah.
You don't let him go. Who thought going into this window Partey was going to leave?
I mean,
I'm
no,
not surprised.
No one
by
thought.
it.
No one thought Partey was
Not
one of those players
voluntarily, anyway.
was on his way out, right?
No,
Nobody
no.
thought that. We knew Xhaka was probably going to be on his way out, but nobody was like, all right, Partey is
No.
probably a player that won't be here next season.
Now
'Cause
do
guess
we
what?
know that?
We don't. He brings so much. He brings more than anybody else on the pitch.
You
Now
still
that we
don't
Champions
know.
know,
League,
yeah.
Champions League, and he's a starter for us. How
Now
many
that we know,
starters? How many starters for us have Champions League experience?
mhm.
Uh,
Tony's
None.
what
Only
Tony's
one.
saying is, if we bring in two midfielders, Granit Xhaka is going to move and Partey's going to move. That's where Tony's coming with. Where is the depth growing in midfield? And
but
I
we
think
also have Jorginho too. He wants to stay.
Yeah, but he's not a starter for us.
Well, right, but it's cover.
No, I know that's what I mean. But
Yeah.
starters, we're talking about players that actually will be in the game. Like if the first Champions League game, Jorginho doesn't start for us
yeah.
if Partey's playing.
I feel like the issues around Partey's wore him down this season, I believe, and going away to hostile grounds, and he's hearing hostile things from the terraces has got to wear on him. So I feel like Partey would welcome the
Are
move
we
as
saying
well.
that now because he's getting sold? We weren't saying
Yes.
that. We weren't
Correct.
saying that at the beginning of this window.
No, Nope.
So you're making an excuse why it's happening now. You're making
no, I'm
up stuff.
understanding. I'm understanding
Yeah.
with compassion why it's happening.
I get it, but I like I said, I don't think any of us thought that was why he would be leaving
Yeah.
the
Well,
squad.
if you have private investigators looking more into
So-
it,
As I said, nobody on this panel
Colombo.
believed Partey
it's
was
always
leaving
been
us.
wait. It's always been a wait.
None of us said, I guess what? I think Partey might be gone
Gary
the
shutting that
in
down.
the first week or two of the window.
Stan,
None
are
of
you
us
surprised?
none of us thought that.
Stan,
I saw
Yeah,
people
listen,
talking
he
about
did
it.
fall off. He did fall off a cliff, as BX Gunner says here. Huge, high risk liability. So that's Partey. Stan, you want to jump in the midfield with Partey, or do you want to get back to Kai Havertz?
Well, I haven't spoken about Kai Havertz yet,
That's
so
what I mean,
do
yeah.
have a few things that I'd like to say about him. Because initially, when I heard the news that we were going for Kai Havertz, I just went by my eye test and obviously what we've been seeing of him at Chelsea, and I was like, for real? Like, wow, do you know what I mean? And then when I looked at how much that they wanted for him, I thought to myself, well, that is a gamble. You know, when I think of Kai Havertz in the Premier League, I automatically also think of Timo Werner. Just didn't seem to work out. But then since I heard the news, I've been going out of my way to do some research into Kai Havertz to see what he could be offering and how he could be used. And I think that the first thing I needed to do was I needed to stop thinking of just Arsenal in terms of a first 11 and starting to try and think of them more about a squad in the same way that they do at Manchester City. So when you talk about players, we usually think of them being wedded to a certain position. He's a left winger, he's a right winger, he does this, he does that. But the way that I'm seeing the game now is that players are being asked to be a lot more fluid and not so much wedded to one position. And you only have to look at the rise of the inverted fullback to get an idea of how fluid players are being asked to be. We've seen Caicedo now being deployed at right back and coming into the midfield. Same with Trent Alexander, John Stones. So things are changing. And I think that maybe next season, we may even see us set up in a different way than to what we did this season. Because looking at Arsenal, when we're off the ball, we go straight, we defend in a 4-4-2 block. We may not necessarily do that next season. And people have always been crying out that Arsenal seem to be bereft of a plan B. And by bringing in someone like Kai Havertz, he could be part of a plan B. He'll be the tallest player that we have in the team, because currently the tallest player is Granit Xhaka, and he's leaving. The next tallest person is Odegaard at 5'8".
Wow.
So we'll have Havertz at 6'1". He's good in the box. And from what I can see, his best position is playing as a second striker. That's where he flourished when he was playing in Germany, which then leads back to me banging my drum about two players playing up front is definitely coming back. And I think that we will see Kai Havertz sometimes playing in place of Jesus in that false nine role, like we saw Trossard doing, and he'll probably get that shout much quicker than Eddie will to be a backup striker. Or we could even see him playing in the same team behind Jesus with Odegaard next to him as kind of like double strikers. But Havertz will be coming in and around Jesus, running around, and will play probably on paper. It will look like he's in Granit Xhaka's role. But I think that you're going to see us playing more with two up the front with Havertz and maybe Jesus, where what we'll do is to cover that in the midfield, we'll shuffle to a 3, and then one of our fullbacks, either Zinchenko or Uran Timber, will move into the middle as that extra person in the midfield. So that's what I think. That's how I think that we're going to be using him.
He's 6'3", can play ball as well. Gary on the ground. Would we think of Havertz as an option B or plan B? You know, I think we've been missing for half a season here.
I still don't know how we're going to use him, and if the answer is we're going to have to change what we do as a football team, I'm like, for him, you're going to change it for him.
You can't really see where he's going to fit in otherwise, right?
I know, but so that's the problem. It's like, so we're going to change the way that he's been playing, the way that he's been, been rigid about the way that he plays for Kai Havertz. That's who we're going to make this change. Like, he's okay. So what that would mean to me is that he is.
It's your plan B, though.
He is one of the best players at his position.
It's no change over there.
And a system that we don't play. We're going to change it for him. That's who we're going to change it for.
It's
right?
no change.
The system that we're playing today is very different to the system that we first played under Mikel Arteta. We haven't stayed playing the same way. There's been a constant.
But this is
what
has
evolved,
play, isn't it?
and maybe we'll continue to evolve next season as well.
Yeah.
Where did we see Jesus when he came back? He was deeper, build up play. Lacazette.
That's the way he started the season.
Thing
he did
that
the same
you're doing Havertz as a second striker.
But we're talking about doing it for Havertz, who what on his resume, his CV for the last 3 seasons in the Premier League, which is usually what we go, you know what? He'll be fine. He's played in the Premier League for the last 3 years. He'll fit in perfectly. We won't have to change much for him because guess what? He's played in the Premier League for the last 3 years. What in the last 3 years do you go, all right, that's a good candidate? Like, you can look at, for example, a Casado and say, look what I've seen him do in the Premier League in just 1 year, and go, we could use him immediately, right? You've seen what Rice has done for multiple years and go, yep, that's a play I want to bring. And we brought up names like Lavia and Paulina from other teams in the league, and we're like, we can see what they did, teams low in the table, and what we can bring in. Nothing Havertz done in the last 3 years. Can we go? Yeah, we're going to be able to use those things.
Does Chelsea?
He had 6.
But Kai Havertz,
5 or 6 strikers.
But there is an argument to say that Kai Havertz has been deployed at Chelsea in a manner that's not conducive to bringing out the best of his talents. And maybe that's what Mikel Arteta sees. He's not been used in the same way that he was perhaps in Germany when he was his best.
They've been playing striker Russian roulette.
I get it, but at some point, some of that talent needs to shine through and overcome all of the bad system that you've got. At some point in the 3 years,
winning goal in the Champions League final.
Yeah, we go back to just the one time,
But
I'm playing
devil's advocate, Gary.
Yeah, but that's just the one game. What about? Can you name like another set of games that he's?
No, but Gary, that's what I think we're all in agreement here. Under Tuchel, he did well. Right, scored the winner in the Champions League final, but then who did he have after Tuchel? Oh yeah, Frank Lampard. Who did he have after that? Graham Potter, who had an impossible task.
One of me and Stan been answering every time about what we want in a striker. It's height, it's being able to hold up the ball. It's a Giroud type deal.
He's not that though, right? He's not that, is he?
He's been compared to Van Persie by.
Listen,
based on what? What he did when he wasn't in the Premier League?
He has that for his goal. You're right, Gary. His goals.
It's based on the qualities he has.
Is very poor.
Yeah,
his goals output in the Premier League is very poor. 1 in 4 goal involvements.
based on the qualities that he has.
You know,
He's
huge risk.
we're laughing at him every time he gets in front of the goal because we know he's going to miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the YouTube clip where he's clearing the ball back to his center back, and he boots it, Partey style, and off the pitch.
Yeah. Listen,
I
I think for the money involved, and money really shouldn't be a factor, right? But looking at his record in the last 3 years for Chelsea, not being great numbers. It's not
That
being
is
great numbers.
that is Arteta and Edu's most expensive player. Since
But
they've
what
been
other
here.
numbers have you looked at?
No. Think about that. Of all the players we've got,
Until tomorrow when we get Rice.
He's the most expensive one we're going to spend money
But
on
have
right
you
now.
actually looked at the numbers? Because the numbers, if you look at his numbers, yes, his XG isn't up to scratch in that part of his game. But if you look at the other part of his game, winning balls, tackling back,
Recoveries.
making passes through the lines, and you look at those parts of his stats, they're all green. They're all like in the green, which is where you want it.
Yeah.
So there
I
are
think,
some attributes that he has, and we've seen what Mikel Arteta done with Granit Xhaka by changing his position and putting him in a different role and coaching him.
When it comes to being an Arsenal fan and an Arsenal supporter, you feel very personal about your own players, and you know their weaknesses and you know their strengths. And when they accentuate their weaknesses, such as Kai Havertz has a fresh air shot, or something goes through his legs when he should be scoring, we're all gonna go, but we're all gonna be here going tut tut tut. Should have done better.
I go tut at Jesus a lot when he misses a lot of his chances, and he misses like a truckload of chances.
Yeah. But Havertz is going to come with that pedigree of not really hitting his potential so far in England, if that's fair to say. You know what I mean? And he does have that languid style. He does have that looking like he's not interested.
You can say Ozil if you want, right?
No, I mean, they don't play the exact same position, but I was just kind of looking at Emile Smith-Rowe and Kai Havertz and those stats, and Emile Smith-Rowe's done nothing for us this season, and he's only got 5 less goal contributions. That's it. And he didn't even play this season than Havertz. Right?
And Havertz has played a lot of games, Gary.
I was looking at it. He started 52, and Emile Smith-Rowe started 21, and that was all last season. So, I mean, he's played in 64. I mean, 45 for Emile Smith-Rowe. I mean, that's where I get it. He's the managers are the reason why he can't do anything. But at some point, he's gonna outshine, and his talent will see through no matter what the coach is asking him to do. At some point, something's gonna show. And then you're gonna go, okay, that's the player that we're talking about. And why can't this manager give him that, put him in that position more and more? We don't even say that because it doesn't happen enough, right? Where yes, he's been played wrong, but eventually he does break through and then shows you why he maybe needs to be played differently.
Tony, there's a lot of downside to this transfer and not a lot of upside, if he doesn't perform, right?
To me, the problem's with money. You could have waited. You could have waited.
Money again.
You could have waited until the end of the month. They have 6 fucking forwards. They're allowed to sell some of them. Wait until they selling for cheaper.
I have a
70
Chelsea
million's ridiculous for him.
I have a Chelsea friend in Ireland says, hot and cold, but one of their better players this season at Chelsea.
Yeah, but
when you're the leading scorer for a team that scored like 30 plus goals.
Was he the leading scorer?
I believe so. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We will have taken in the last 2 windows the top scorer for the 2 teams that we brought in. Trossard was the leading scorer for them when we brought him in, and now Havertz will be the leading scorer. They come in different. They come in seeming differently in terms of their resumes, but they both did that.
BX kind of said 3 games for trophies in a row where Kai scored in 2 and assisted the winner in another is pretty impressive. That's probably under Tuchel when We did win that cup competition.
So
The
that's
previous-
like a couple of years ago, right? We're talking
Yep.
like 2-3
Yep.
years ago.
Yep.
There is another
Five
side
ago.
to my argument, because I was trying to play devil's advocate, because when I've listened to Chelsea people, whether that's podcasters or ex-players or people that watch Chelsea every week, I've not heard any of them say he's going to make Arsenal stronger. I've not heard them sort of like talking in that way that they're going to miss him.
Yeah.
And then they're really upset that they're losing him to us. And in fact, when I was listening to Jason Cundy, who watches Chelsea a lot and used to play for him, his analysis was that he lacked a lot of grit, lacked steel, didn't think that he was the sort of player that you would want next year when the chips are down and there's a fight, and also described him as the sort of player that within the first 5 to 10 minutes of a game, you can look at him and tell whether he's going to be on it today and whether you're going to get a good game out of him today. So there is that side of it. And you're right, it is a gamble. And I do think that the money is too much to pay for that gamble.
We'll be sitting here in autumn or fall or whatever, talking about Havertz and the impact he's having on the team. And you're talking about grit and determination. I'd rather have Rice in my team. You know, he would give you that grit and determination. That's how important tomorrow may be.
Yeah, but he was
Arsenal.
playing behind players like Lukaku and
Yeah.
If it goes on loan, Tony.
Yeah. Look, is Kai Havertz a first team player? Where does he fit in the team?
we'll find
Or
out.
is he going to be
No,
depth?
but
I know Stan talked about the whole group now. We have to think about it as a whole squad. Gary?
No, I was just gonna say, I guess it's probably more of a question to Stan, because I'm like, where you're saying he's gonna play, does that mean him and Erdogan are playing where he's playing for Jacques and he's taking Jacques' spot on the pitch, but maybe in a different role on the squad and on the field? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, on paper, he'll take up, I think, Xhaka's spot, but doesn't necessarily mean he'll play in the same way. He could be flowing, changing with Gabriel Jesus and interchanging with other players.
Did you now watch the video I sent you, Gary?
So
maybe
if
maybe
we
in some
get
games as well, he'll start instead of Gabriel. Maybe Gabriel will start in some games in Saka's place to give Saka
We
I-
need
I
to
think-
rotate. We need to rotate for
yes,
sure.
and I think that's what this kind of signing can be. We're getting a lot of forwards now that we can interchange in different formations.
And
Kai
what do we
Havertz-
need up there? We need
Kai
height.
Havertz has to be part of making Saka not play every game.
We're
Has
not
to be
getting the
part of-
striker based on where we are today, Tony. We're not getting the strikers.
Well, we're going to talk about Balogun in a little bit.
That dream, nah. I don't see it. We just not wasted, but we've allocated a lot of funds
yeah,
to a player who actually played most of his, last season as a forward, right? I doubt we're going to spend more. We have to spend more money than that, right?
I'd like to
Uh,
know how we're paying for it. I'd like to know how much we're actually giving them as a lump sum.
who are we talking about? Eddie
No, I was talking about
Kai
Havertz still.
Havertz. Okay. I think it's 200,000, something like that a week.
No,
No,
it's not his salary. The lump sum.
Installments.
for
The
Chelsea.
installment.
I
How we're paying for him.
think it
I
was
have,
like
I have a sneaky feeling that we've cracked some deal that makes it.
I think no, it was three payments of 16.66 for the 50. 3 payments. I saw that somewhere. Yeah.
It's crazy because if you think about it, if you just took that 16 and said, "Here we go, we'll put it in the rice package,"
Rice fund.
I don't know.
Then you wouldn't be eating fries anymore. You're going to be eating rice.
You wouldn't eat fries. You can go with the rice. Come on.
Havertz and Jesus could play the 2 striker formation, like Stan said. It still wouldn't stack up to Haaland and De Bruyne. Havertz's most potent role.
Why are we doing that comparison? Why are we doing that comparison?
We're going to be competing. We
can't.
supposed to be.
We are not. We're not comparing apples to apples when we bring City in there, and you say Havertz and KDB, right? Is that what you're saying? That we don't. No, we don't. No, it's that. Why bother? Why are we wasting our time with that one?
Yeah, because
then
some
you're
of our
gonna
parts.
bring Tony in and go, well, we don't have a striker, so how do we compare?
I got you. ZL Donut and he's stoking what he did at Chelsea. He never suited their more defensive style. Chelsea had a habit of killing world-class players. Kevin De Bruyne and Salah come to mind right away. So yeah, listen,
Or look
Every
at
time
what
those two names,
Lukaku did
those
there.
two
Chelsea,
names,
Look what
Chelsea's fun.
Lukaku did.
yeah, those two names come up, but I
Lukaku
think
didn't do
they
shit
were
there.
really young. They were really young, is my understanding. So it wasn't as if they were gonna take the spots of those in front of them at that time. At that time,
Yeah,
that's like almost like Gnabry. He wasn't gonna take a spot from the players in front of him at that time.
mhm.
He turned out to
Right.
be a pretty good player, but at the time when he was there, I believe he wasn't like, yeah, he wasn't knocking the doors down like I need to get on
Those
the pitch at
those
that point.
players,
I
those
think.
players at Chelsea show you that you can be a better player at a different club with different surroundings and different circumstances, right? Mo
Look at
Salah,
Lukaku.
and
Look at
Kevin De Bruyne.
Lukaku. 70 million. Didn't do shit for him.
Yeah, Nelson should give Saka a rest if needed. Havertz is 24, so fits the age profile that we're playing toward here. I'm talking about this 3 to 4 year window where if we get things right, it could bang pretty well, and that includes Rice, unlocking Havertz, and other things moving forward. Havertz, there's potential in him to be a top player. You add depth. In the long term, it's not that bad. So we have a lot of depth across the front lines, you'd say now, right? Let's say Emile Smith-Rowe had some injuries and struggled last season. If he comes again like the season before, Reece Nelson steps forward again. Gabriel Jesus, I think, had a better season than we're going to remember his last season because of injury.
Yeah, all of this works if we rotate our players.
Yeah,
No-
that is
and
the
we
big thing.
and we needed to do that last season with the same players, and maybe things would be different. So,
So listen.
I gotta go. See you guys.
All right, Alonso.
Alonso.
Cheers.
See you guys.
Right,
Thank
see ya.
you, Alonso. See you. Take care. Kai Havertz didn't jump off the page when I read about it. And, as an Arsenal fan, you'd probably come to rationalize it a little bit. But we're going to judge
I
him.
just don't like the money.
Yeah.
When have you
I
ever
agree.
liked the money? When is the
You
when?
just fucking mentioned
Tony
it,
likes a
Gary.
bargain.
No, I'm
Tony,
asking you. When's the last time you
What-
actually liked the money?
Gary, 30 minutes ago, you were talking about Chelsea has these players that they have to get rid of by the end of a month.
No,
So
that's not
why
my
do you
question.
play? So why do you pay the max amount when you can get him for cheaper at the end of a month?
All right. So my question again is, when have you liked the money?
Trossard
I've
was a
liked
good
it.
deal.
Which
Gabriel
one?
Martinelli.
Tierney, Gabrielle, there's plenty of them.
Tony likes value for money, Gary, And
Yeah.
listen, we agree with you, Tony. We think 15 to 20 million should be taken off the Havertz deal for us to work with that. But it is what it is.
It's just like I felt we outpaid for Jesus last year. He's on his last year of his contract. You could have signed him for free in January. So
Was he worth it?
Paying 55 for him, I think it was too much.
Was he worth it?
We looked better without him, didn't we?
So we started the season with him and we didn't look good. Like, I don't think he came back 100%. So when he comes back after being out for a while, I don't think he's gonna get. Where were we when he was playing for the first 20 plus
Well, if
games
he
of the
isn't
season?
fit enough, then
We'd
they'll
lost
put him on the
How many
pitch.
games we had lost at that point?
Who's this? Gabriel Jesus?
Yeah, I think we had lost like one game. I think
One game. Yeah, we drew one game and lost
So
one game.
so while he started the season, went through the preseason and all of that, we lost one game
How many did we lose out of a final 9?
when he was
Great,
not when he's
great.
just coming when the entire team was breaking down. Is that what you mean?
Okay. I'm going to break it up right here. All right, Stan. This one should be interesting. What are we going to do with Balogun?
Well, as I've said before, and I kind of feel the same, that we've worked so long now with this young man through our academy. I think it's only right that we should at least have a look at him in an Arsenal shirt in some competitive matches, maybe in the preseason, before we make any rash decisions. But then on the other side of the coin, I think to myself, well, he scored a lot of goals in Ligue 1 this season, but then again, so has Lacazette. So it doesn't necessarily mean that what he's doing in Ligue 1 is going to translate in the Premier League. So I understand that maybe now they're feeling that the value that they'll get for him is probably the best that they'll get it right now. But be clever and put in some kind of a sell-on clause or a buyback clause.
Right. I think we probably asked Alexander Lacazette to do things last season that
What
he was
league
not
did what
comfortable
league is Saliba
doing.
playing before he came to Arsenal?
Who?
What's that question?
Saliba, what league did he play in?
League on, buddy, defender. Yeah.
I'm just saying it's same league, and he would have been
Can
going
we-
up against.
Can we just say with Alexander Lacazette that we probably asked him to do things when he was in the Premier League for the last season that he wasn't comfortable doing or good at
I mean,
doing?
he even came out and said the team wasn't following what the manager was
He
doing.
can't play in the back line and then be up front for the attack, and that's what he was doing. The man's like
That's
30
what he
plus,
was asked
30
to do.
30 plus.
Like-
Yeah, but you have to understand the quality will fall when you're asked to spread yourself thin by being everywhere on the
That's
pitch.
why you're getting somebody like
I get it, but
Havertz that can
that's why
stand
that's
there.
why the performances look different. He doesn't have to come back and play in a back line. I mean, we saw this in games.
You seen Jesus come back and play in the back
He's
line.
much younger. Much younger.
You seen Jesus do it.
He's much younger.
So now you're gonna get Carl that can go in there and not have the center strikers being able to do that.
Mhm.
And go
Chris
in
Nick-
here on
Chris Nick says Salomon put a buyback clause in.
Yeah.
You know,
nope. But what's
I-
stupid about the whole fucking thing, we're going in for Wall, who scored less goals in the same fucking league, about the same age, to somebody that's committed to Arsenal, that wanted to sign a contract. Instead, we wasted a whole year of his development, didn't play him in under 23s, didn't do shit with him until 2 weeks before the season ends. And he finally extended the contract, which he wanted to do the entire time. When does the window close? At the end of August.
Mhm.
So why don't you go ahead and see what the kid has?
So I think we're going to bring him on this tour, right? He's going to go to preseason. He's going to get his chance. It's been widely reported, and he's probably
Why
going to do
wouldn't
quite well. I think he's going to do quite well in preseason, and we will be faced with a decision toward the end of August.
But why don't you not even entertain any offers until then and get more money for him if you are selling?
I mean, if you're going to get 40 million, isn't that probably the high end of what you would get for a player of his age with what he's achieved on loan
Huh?
right now? I will say I think it's going to be very tempting for the club to cash in on this with the expected money that we're going to be putting out for Declan Rice or Timber or Kai Havertz combined. 200 million.
But with the our main target lately has been rumored to be Wall. So it makes
Who?
no sense.
Main target is who?
Wall as striker. Yeah.
Who will?
WAL.
Yeah.
I've never heard of him.
He's younger.
WA.
He's
It's like
younger.
it's spelled like the Clipper. WAHL.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like the Clipper.
WAHL.
He's a couple inches taller and a year younger. So
And then the Bundesliga, is it?
No, it's League One.
Liga as well.
League on. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense to buy him.
When you say
Kid that
he
you're
scored less than Balogun, it was only 2 goals.
Still
Mhm.
scored
It
less.
wasn't like it was like 10.
Yeah,
Um,
Lacazette that scored 26. So
the key to this could be some of the comments here as well. I think Balogun making statements like "play me" or "sell me" don't help with any moves. I don't know if if Arteta will really get bothered by that. Play me
He
or sell
shouldn't. And
me.
we keep talking about we want players that want to play.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, he's saying. I mean, to some degree, he's saying that, but in other degrees, he's saying, "Don't waste
I,
my time,
I don't
please."
blame him at all
Mm.
because we wasted a whole fucking year of his
Yeah.
career.
But that was his agent,
And,
Tony, and we're going back into like ancient history that we've covered
and it
before.
was 2 years ago, right? It's not
Yes, but
history.
it's a little bit of history as well. I mean, Granit Xhaka unpacked his suitcase twice in that time as well.
During this podcast.
Are you sure you don't want me, Mikhail? Are you sure? I'm ready. I'm available. I'll stay if you want to. Okay, I'm staying.
But he wanted to leave every time.
Yeah. I'd look at Brentford to see if they'd be interested in Balogun and Eddie for Tony. And there was some talk, I think, about Nketiah attracting some interest as well. We don't know what's going to happen in this. It does seem like Arsenal need to figure out the striking areas as well. Balogun or Eddie. I believe bring in Balogun for preseason and let them have competition. You know, that's what I would say. And we may well see Balogun surpass Eddie in the next couple of months. Balogun
That's
looks
why you
like
might see
another uncomfortable situation for Arteta.
See,
He will be
the
still-
whole part with the uncomfortable part then means why do you want players to come off the bench then? Why do you want players to push other players to the bench? If you can't have that unless it looks like this. That's what it looks like. A player like is confident in their own skills that enough that they think, you know what, I can't be coming here and sitting around.
because at this point, the only striker we have is Eddie, which isn't good enough.
And that's not even a
Tashard,
striker.
second striker.
Jesus.
Second striker.
Gabriel Jesus.
Jesus is not a striker.
He may well have gotten 20 goals last season if he
I mean, we
played
could get Jonathan
more
David
games.
for probably, a little bit more than we sell Balogun for.
Yeah. Listen, I think we can talk about Balogun, we can talk about Nketiah, we can talk about Jesus. At the end of the day, it's an uncomfortable situation for Arteta, but it doesn't need to be BX because I think we need to start getting what's the thing? What's the word I'm talking about? Ruthless. Right. We need to
Ruthless.
start being ruthless. Mikel Arteta needs to start being ruthless.
We can't be asking for depth and then asking for those players coming off the bench not to want to try to take the player's spot who's starting. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't work, but you don't get any competition, right? If guess what? You come off the bench, you're only ever going to come on for 30 minutes at a time. That doesn't work. Nobody signs up for that. They sign up to be able to. Maybe they're not the number one starter. Maybe they don't get the 30 games, but maybe they get the 15 to 20 games that they start in. You know what I mean? That's what we need. We don't want to have to start players for over 30 games a season. We should be able to sit them down and let them get some thought. Like if we're going to compete on all four fronts, we can't have our starters playing 33, 34 starting 34 games for the season.
Yeah.
Not if we're playing Champions League and we're hopefully going to go deep in the domestic cups. At some point, they're going to play those games too, right? So you have to have as you said, a squad of like 16 to 18 players, all who can come in. It doesn't, you rotate them in. It doesn't actually matter if you're playing Champions League or not. Sometimes you just have to rotate and keep your team fresh, right?
I think we have to see that, Gary. We played maybe 45 games last season. We're looking at playing about 60 games this coming season. I think BX Gunner is correct. Balogun is not going to challenge Jesus, but he can put a good marker down for this season if he's given a chance.
But the role he might not, but the position, right? That's kind of where, like, if he doesn't, he can't do the things that Jesus does. But if you said, guess what, you're gonna play up front a lot more, like where Nketiah's not asked to come back,
No.
If you told Balogun, guess what, you're going to stay up top there, and we've seen him take volleys out of the air and score, right?
He has more about him.
We haven't seen Nketiah do that too often, right?
I
So
think I think if Balogun starts with us this season or plays, 15, 20 minutes here and there, plays a cup game, pretty quickly we'll see Balogun's numbers be better than Eddie Nketiah, and then there's the challenge to Eddie, and Arteta's situation for Nketiah looks a little bit uncomfortable. Then you know what I mean. So Balogun did score. He did declare for the US men's national team and score on his debut. He's doing all of the things that you want a striker to do. He's laying down these markers in his professional career. He scored a lot of goals in League On. Some of them were penalties, and now he scored on his debut, Tony, for the US.
Yeah, and he's asking his team to play him, basically, which we
Yeah.
should do. He's
Yeah.
better than Eddie. I think him and Pissard would be a good pairing.
And let him ride that wave of confidence into the preseason. Come back, go to Germany, have a good preseason. Like we all want the targets to be in Havertz, Rice, hopefully, and Timber as well to be in house, and let Balogun take it from there and take his chance.
And you know what's the greatest thing about Balogun? He doesn't
What's that?
cost any money. It doesn't cost any money to go get him.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a striker there on the books. I think it'd be a shame to sell him for 30 or 40 million and deprive us of a striker that we're going to need pretty soon. Okay, anything on your final on Balogun? We'll switch to
Yes.
Timber. Yeah, Balogun, go ahead.
If you look at it, if you put him and Eddie next to each other as well, you've got one that's now going to be like the lead in the line for the United States, and Eddie doesn't look like he's going to get anywhere near the England team.
Yeah.
And that's a device that could be handy to Arsenal. There's probably a lot of Americans who will watch the national team and maybe haven't chosen a team yet, and they like to look at Balogun and think, who does he play for? Arsenal? Yeah, maybe I'll give them a little bit of a look. So I don't think that we should be rash to get rid of him before we have a look at him close up. And as somebody, I think it was BX said that Balogun isn't challenging Jesus. Maybe he's not, but I'd love to see him at least try with my own eyes.
I mean, if you're a situation where Arteta starts Jesus and he's not scoring, Balogun gets 25 minutes in those games and he scored a goal or two, then the argument is coming. Tony?
Going with what Stan just said, I kept wanting Gnabry because he kept flirting with going to play for the US. Now you have another player doing that. So, yeah, you want Balogun to do good. I think he is a good player. He's definitely better than our only full out-and-out striker to me. I don't think we got another one. So, to me, ride Balogun, see what he does. We need depth. He gives us depth without money. If we sell him for 40 million, then guess what? We have to go buy another striker that will probably cost us 20 million more.
Yes.
And probably won't be any better.
I think you're right there, Tony. And a lot of our resources are going to go into midfield in this window, and we don't have the resources for a striker. So we may not recoup a lot of money. It may come from the likes of a Tavares or Lakanga, but we'll recoup some of them. But keep the striker on the books. Gary, I could see Balogun being that focal point up front that Saka or Marinelli could benefit from.
Yeah, definitely could see that.
And Erdegaard running past Balogun. So the combinations could arise there. Could be good.
I mean, we're talking about it would be perfect. It would be good to see that. I mean, the last time we saw him play for Arsenal, was in the Europa League, and I thought he did good for them.
Yes,
the minimal minutes that he played. It's almost to me like when we saw we saw Saliba play against MK Dons. You're like, he's a little rash. He needs a little bit of time out there on the pitch, and he went and got it over the next 2 seasons. Came back looking pretty good. Same thing, I think, with Balogun. He just needed to play. He went out there and played and put in some really good work. Now you need to see whether it works for you. At some point, an academy player has to be able to make it to the first team since Arteta's been here. I mean, we don't have one yet. He's the closest one to it, and we're thinking he's going to sell him before he even gets a chance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like every other academy player is like, we're probably going to sell Patino, right? We're going to sell this. We're going to sell Hine. We're going to sell Alconco. I mean, all of these players that have been on the bench for us, we're probably going to sell. Norton Cuffey's too young. All these players just are too young. They're always too young, but they're never, ever the right age when, guess what? Oh, you know what? We're going to have to sell them because we got to bring in somebody more experienced. At some point, the academy you got to bring those players in. I mean,
it's not the academy, it's the fucking manager.
Is he 21 years old, Balogun? 21, 22?
He's 21.
Yeah. Listen, coming to the right age, I think where he could start accepting a few more games. Listen, I think he'd be quite happy to come and play as a second or third striker at Arsenal. He's talking about give me games here. So yeah, that's Balogun. Okay, let's hope that we'll see what happens. Actually, we'll talk about it as the summer goes through. Timber, Stan, we got Havertz most likely coming in, and Timber looks good. Looks like we're about to up our bid to close to 40 million. I think it is 38.5 for Ajax.
I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything.
Me either. Not too much. Yeah.
The only thing that I did see was there was I can't remember what the name was. It was an ex-Dutch player who is now a manager, I think, in Italy, maybe at Inter. Who would that be? And he was basically saying that the problem with Timber is that he can't head the ball. He always misses headers. That was the only thing that I remember I've read about him. Other than that, I've heard that when he's going to play in a he's not a right back, he's a centre back, but can play at right back and would probably be used in a similar way as Zinchenko is used by that inverted stuff. Other than that, pass. That's it.
Yeah,
it's funny you say that as soon as you said he can't head, I just put up a compilation. What's the first thing he's doing? He's heading the ball.
Okay.
He's heading the ball again. So it might be something like he's heading the ball just again. So I think it might be something where maybe in the crucial moments when he needs to cut that ball clear, he doesn't. But the ones they're showing in this one, he's actually out and with space, outside the final third. He's been pretty good about clearing it with his head.
So I know even less about him then.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's what I'm just watching right now with the compilation from last season.
With Gabriel and Saliba, does it matter if he can head?
Well, look, there's going to be situations where Saliba's not playing and he'll be playing. Tony, will he be playing right center back or will he be playing right back?
Well, if you can put White in there, then you rather put White in the middle, right?
Yeah, and I think that may be a drive for Arteta to bring Ben White back into that right center back and use Timber as that right inverted fullback going into midfield. I think
we really need to rotate that back line. We can't have Saliba and Gabriel having to play all 38 games.
Ben White can do that. Ben White can take the load off of Saliba. We don't know the status of Saliba's back. He may carry those back issues into next season. Forever, maybe, Tony. And we know Gabriel Magalhaes has played almost every game. So this means what's that guy's name again that we bought at
Tomiyasu
in January? Tomiyasu will come into it, but Kivior doesn't mean Kivior will get more games for Gabriel Magalhaes in probably some league games. And
I was reading that Kivior wants to go home. He doesn't like it or something. He wants to go home.
They
Well,
don't give
just
me
got him,
time
mate.
to tie my shoelaces.
He's not even unpacked yet, that guy.
We got a lot of
Right.
suitcases unpacked. Yeah, Tony.
Do you think we could be copying exactly what City did last year? 4 center backs.
Well, City
strikers.
basically used 4 center backs, and they did this because they realized they were losing games away from home with fullbacks. I think Pep Guardiola recognized he was going to have issues at Anfield when they lost that game, when Cancelo miscontrolled that high ball and Mo Salah scored to win the game for them. I think Pep Guardiola realized at that point, we're not going to catch Arsenal. We're not going to be able to do anything if we don't change things at the back. So he went 4 centre backs at the back, and famously a midfielder at left back as well against Saka at one point in time. So are we going to do that?
We don't. But
specifically?
we don't.
I don't think we are.
But we don't have a Rodrigo and a KDB in the middle of the pitch. I mean, that's the difference, right? I mean, that's why they can do some of the things they were doing there. I mean, those are.
We got a Rice, and we got a Rodri right there in midfield. We
don't have a Rice right now.
No, we don't.
So.
But I think Timber is going to be a good acquisition for us if we are able to seal the deal. Again, and Eric Ten Hag has not moved on him yet. Has not moved.
He's probably just waiting to see what the price is, what the price is set to.
Yeah.
Because it seems the same thing, right? With Lisandro, we seem to set the market price, and then they just swoop in and said, "Hey, remember me?" And they're like, "Yeah, coach, I'll come play for you."
Hey, former coach, yeah, remember me? I'm a Man United now. Let's you want to come my way? It's a shorter flight. Yeah. Okay, but
at some point, Arsenal's going to get the first bid right. Yeah, and as I said, not for somebody new. Somebody unknown.
It's harder and harder to defend the club when they keep doing the same things.
They do it on those unknown players. It's known
well, that's the
players
problem.
that
Like I'm saying,
on.
but I'm actually saying unknown. Like I don't know this player. Like I never coached him. I don't even speak the same language.
Yeah,
that type of thing.
Like a Gabriel, a Martinelli.
Those are all. Martinelli.
Now,
they were not known players.
I heard somebody.
Edu and Arteta didn't bring those players in.
I heard somebody say that this could free up Tomiyasu to play on the left at times.
Got to get him healthy, man.
Yeah. Okay. Timber and Havertz are great signings. Timber looks good going both ways. The ex-gunner said. Our defense is sacked. Is that good? Is sacked a good term? Kivior will be a big player for us.
It's stacked, but it's not stacked if Partey's gone.
I bet Lille would be interested in a swap for Jonathan David.
There you go.
All right, we're gonna go just a few more minutes. But any other thoughts about the transfer business so far?
Yeah, it sucks.
We're only a few days in, and we're feeling that Stan is already drained after a week.
It's tiring, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, it is kind of tiring. Yeah, Tony.
After 6 months, being able to sign somebody for free, why didn't we go for Yori? That would help the depth because we know people are leaving the midfield. He's definitely better than Zaka is.
Why aren't we signing people for free? Is that what you're saying?
Why didn't we get Yori?
I don't know. I just he struggled in a Leicester side, And
everybody struggled in that team.
I don't know.
Hey, if you can go and get a Havertz, I think you can get a Tielemans. I don't know. Just both of them struggled, as we've been talking about, on teams that struggled.
All right, we're gonna go into the fixtures, but not into too much depth for this coming season. Fixtures released, I think, last
Guess
week.
what, Ray? We have to play every team twice.
Very interesting indeed. Novel. My take on it is we have 7 games that we must win before we play Man City in October. You know, we have a very manageable first 7 games. Manchester United at home, notwithstanding, and Everton away, and notwithstanding. So, what are thoughts? What are our thoughts on the first 7 games? Want me to go through them for you? Nottingham Forest at home, Palace away, Fulham at home, Man United at home, Everton away, Tottenham at home, and Bournemouth away. So we have quite a few home games there to start with.
You should win most of those games, right? Like
We have
at
to
least-
do. We have to start similar to how we started last season, and we have to finish in a much different way,
Where
Gary.
do we play Manchester United?
We play Manchester United in the 4th game at
Where-
home.
At home, so we should be winning all of our home games, especially that one.
Yep.
So and
Everton away is the one we traditionally have struggled in. That's the 5th game in the season, and then we have North London Derby, Bournemouth, and then we face City in October. Again, this should not be rescheduled, Tony. And like I said, we'll go into this in much more detail another time, but just wanted to get your thoughts on it. It's very similar. I think it's very similar to last season's, but the run-in is horrible.
the run-in, not
The
even.
run-in is horrible. So the last 10 games, 4 of them, we played 4 very tough away games.
Maybe we'll fucking beat them because of the last 2 years.
In
we
the
took
in the
shit
run-in,
against shitty teams.
in the run-in, we go away to Man City, we go away to Brighton, we go away to Tottenham, and we go away to Man United. Those are 4 away games in our last 10 games. You know,
Yeah.
What was our record last year in the final 9 games, Ray?
3-3-3. Tony,
I'll
3-3-3.
just say very quickly that I don't really care about. I'm with Tony. We have to play all of them at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would say that I'm really pleased about is that at least our first game is not on a Friday; it's on a Saturday.
That's
So
what I was. That was my thoughts of what I've seen the thing.
Pretty happy about
Thank
that.
God we're finally not playing on a Friday.
But also as well, we don't know how we're going to be lining up next season yet, so it's going to be very difficult to say how we're going to do. Until we know what our business is.
All right, so I think that's a good shout for we're coming back to this toward the beginning of the season, not the end of last season, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just going to put up our last season and then we'll get out of here. I think this is it, Tony. So yeah, Tony, we're pretty bad the last 9 games of the season. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Any final comments to make on it? Thanks. Listen, it's been a couple of weeks since we got together. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. And any final thoughts? I'll make it a quick exit then.
No, just go buy players. We need depth.
We
Don't
need
worry about.
much like you need me to be. We need Arsenal to be more decisive. You need me to be more decisive, and we're out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Slap a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. We'll see you on the next one.
And donate to my wheelchair.
And donate to Tony's wheelchair. Check out the Etsy, the Gunner Shack on Etsy for Stan. All right, take care. Thanks, boys.
And
See you later.
check out Gary anywhere.